a walk on the woo-woo side with me. My name is Michelle Douglas and I am on a mission to help you to step into your power so that you can create the life you desire. Visit me at empoweredlifeprograms.com to learn more. Hello and welcome to another Wacky Wednesday where we talk about funny dating and relationship stories, or I should probably change it to more like dodgy rather than funny. Anyway, so I'm going to read these out. This first one's from a guy that I've done a bit of research, and yeah, there's lots of different stories out there. So this gentleman writes, a girl that I met on Tinder suggested that we go to a particular restaurant to have dinner. So we get our food and she's really insistent that we eat at a particular table that's sort of far away from the rest of the restaurant. Dinner goes fine, I guess. I don't really like her that much and she seems like a sort of a mean person, but I just commit to finishing the date and not going on another one. Later that night, she starts getting a bunch of texts and getting distracted. And she tells me it's her ex and that he saw them on the date, or saw us on the date. Turns out she intentionally sat us in front of the tattoo place where he worked so that he would see us and be jealous. Sounds like one of those things that happens in a crappy TV show, and it happened to me in real life. And this is another gentleman. I met this woman through a dating app and we decided to meet up for drinks as a first date. Conversation was great. We seemed to have lots in common. She was funny and cute, etc. But towards the end of the date, she tried to sell me life insurance and pulled out some brochures for me to look at. And we've got another gentleman's story. Met up with a girl through a dating app, organized to meet at her house for a movie. No, not for a first date. But anyway, I get there and she has only a two-person couch. She sat on one side and her cat is sleeping on the other side. I try to move the cat, but the girl said, "Excuse me, what are you doing?" So I awkwardly sat on the floor. 30 minutes in, I said, "Screw this," and walked out. Okay. Okay, this one's from a woman. Tinder date. He says he's a musician. They're in their early 30s. He's adamant to come and pick me up and not meet me at the restaurant. I used to live in an apartment block, so it didn't bother me. He turns up in a really beat up, crappy Honda, and she thought, well, whatever, not everyone has a good car. But at the restaurant, here's what she finds out. Okay, he lives with his ex, who he has a kid with. They live with his parents, and he has no plans on moving out. He boasted about how he cheated on his ex while she was pregnant. He is a rapper who was trying to break into the scene since he was 18 and has never actually had a job. The photos he used for his Tinder profile were 10 years old and looked nothing like his current self. And he had a bunch of missing teeth and he smelled bad. I ended up texting my flatmate as an emergency to call me, and they did. They came and picked me up and said they were late for a party we had to go to. Okay, we've got this other one here. Met him at a birthday party of a mutual acquaintance, and we were flirting with each other and getting along really well, and he asks me out and I say yes and offer to meet him at a restaurant. The date turns out to be an Amway event. Yikes. Okay. All right. And the last one, I thought this one was a little bit funny and dodgy and a really good example of boundaries and why they're so important and why you trust your gut and act on it. Went on a date with who I thought was a pretty cute guy. On his profile, his picture was of him smiling, but with his mouth closed. And this is important, this bit. So we get along quite well, and I was looking forward to the date. And I arrive at the place that we had decided to meet for dinner, and I join him. He seems shy, but everything's fine. And then he begins to speak. Now, I really try not to judge, she says, but unfortunately, this man's teeth were black. Hygiene is a thing, people. And I mean black. But as I said, I try not to judge. So I have dinner with him. He's genuinely really nice. And besides it's being awkward, I would say the dinner actually went okay. It was after dinner where things actually got worse. We went to a park and sat on some grass near a bridge, and he put his arm around me. Fine, I suppose. But then out of nowhere, I hear him whisper, "You have really nice feet." She goes, "Oh, thanks." He sits up looking at my feet and nervously asks me if he could massage them. Feeling really unsafe and uncomfortable, I reluctantly say yes. And she says, "I'm worried he might hurt me or something if I say no." And so he takes off my flip flops for me and he begins rubbing my feet. This whole time he's making strange little noises. And after about 2 really uncomfortable minutes, I make up a lame excuse and practically run to the train station. He follows me, asking if I want him to escort me on the train home. I do not want to be near this man anymore, so I just tell him no. I don't want him to catch the train with me, and this definitely isn't going to work out. So I hop on the train, I block him, and decide to work on my boundary setting abilities before ever going on another date again. There's a lesson for you, ladies. Boundaries, and always meet somewhere in a public place. Don't go to a park where you can have your feet massaged or something, not on a first date, or not at night anyway. So that's Wacky Wednesday. I shall leave you with that one, and I'll see you tomorrow.